Whenever you're ready, Coach.
All right, I appreciate everybody coming. I've been told there's some other big-time football news going on at the same time, so I appreciate you being here. I think our team, and I am pretty sure we're pretty excited about playing on Saturday. We're pretty healthy. We've only had one serious injury during camp to a backup offensive lineman, so we're healthy going into the game. All the players have continued to get better. I think that we anticipate playing well. What my biggest concern is whether our team knows enough about New Hampshire, and I'm not talking about scheme-wise. I'm talking about tradition and winning and all that. They have a really good coach that's been there for 18 years, Sam McDonald. He's got an unbelievable record. He's won 180 games or something like that. He's been to 12 straight playoffs. He has several really good football players, and they have a great tradition, and they're used to winning. So my biggest concern is if that we don't take things seriously or we don't know enough about them and their tradition and how good they really are, that we could be in trouble come game day. So that's the biggest concern. But our team has performed well during training camp, and they seem like they have a good attitude, so I expect them to play well on Saturday night.
With how many seniors you have with this team, do you feel like that shouldn't be an issue? Especially when you consider kind of the stuff that happened during non-conference last year, like they experienced that, they know how important it is.
Well, I mean, I think I said early in the year when I finally got time to analyze last season, it was totally a turnover issue. We were turning the ball over a lot, and we weren't causing many turnovers, so early in the season when we played in games, we gave them all the momentum, and we didn't give ourselves an honest chance to win. That could certainly happen again because when you win the turnover battle, obviously you have a much better chance to win. And if you look at our season last year, toward the end of the year, we were causing a bunch of turnovers, and we weren't giving it to them. So I think we have a talented football team. I think we have a chance to win a lot of games. But things like turnovers or giving up kick returns and that sort of thing change momentum in a game, and that's why you play. You never know who's going to win. Otherwise, it wouldn't be so exciting.
Rocky, what are Chapman's intangibles? What has impressed you besides some of the physical things he does? What else impresses you?
I think his maturity level. Last year when he got thrown in there, you know, you're always concerned about a redshirt freshman actually being your starting quarterback, and he performed much better than we anticipated he would, and I think he's just taken off from there. Last year we protected him pretty good with the things we called, things that we knew he could do well, and made sure that he didn't have to do anything he wasn't comfortable doing. That's not the case anymore. I mean, he took the reins, and through spring practice and off season and all that, he understands the whole offense. There's no restrictions on what we can or want to do with him, and he seems to embrace that. He doesn't seem to ever get nervous. He never seems uptight. He seems very confident in his ability, and if you want a negative, he's not very tall. You know, he throws the ball well, he can scramble, he gets out of trouble well, he runs with it well. But he's about, I don't know what he says he is. He probably says he's 6 foot tall, and that's stretching it.
Yeah.
You said Maxwell was really good last year at reading defenses and getting you into the right running plays a lot. Something that we don't think about a quarterback doing, but that would be important for this team to be in the right running plays, running to the right side, and doing those things. How's he doing?
I think that's the maturity level. I think he understands it much better than when he was thrown in there last year. In fact, we didn't give him the options last year to change running plays and all that. We called plays that you should be able to block no matter how they line up on defense. There were some plays that might have been better if we'd have gone the other way or something like that, but we didn't give him those options. Now he has those options to change the protection, to change the running play. He has all those options now.
And you think he'll use them as well as Maxwell did?
I think he is. I mean, gives you the impression that he's confident enough to do it, yes. I mean, practice is different than game time, but we've already seen him play in a game, and he didn't look nervous in the games he played last year.
If you could talk a little bit about Elijah Preston and his decision to walk on to San Diego State this year.
Well, I haven't seen him yet. He hadn't been to practice yet because he's still being physically cleared. So I haven't actually seen him. He was a great player in high school.
Coach, with New Hampshire, what about the program has made them so consistent and successful? Is it just when you watch them on film?
This is interesting for anybody that wants to actually talk football. They do very similar things on defense as we do. They play 4 D linemen. We only play 3, but we line up in a 4-down look all the time. They play 5 defensive backs the whole time, as we do. And very few people in the country do that play 5 defensive backs no matter what the other team's offense is doing. So we're very similar there. And then we're complete opposites on offense. I mean, we're going to line up with the tight end or 2 tight ends, and we're going to line up in the I formation, and we're going to run the ball, and we're going to use play-action pass. Well, they're going to spread you from sideline to sideline. They're going to snap the ball every 15 to 18 seconds. The quarterback is going to go back to throw 60 or 70 times in the game. Now, this quarterback they named the starter is a scrambler. He will pull it down and run really quickly instead of throwing it. So he's going to go back 60 or 70 times. Now, he might scramble and run with it 15 or 20. Chip Kelly was their offensive coordinator way back before he went to Oregon and then went to the NFL, and he's the one that installed that offense. He's one of the first guys to put that kind of offense into the college game. And they've been running the same offense for a long, long time, so they're really, really good at it. They know how to counteract anything you do on defense. So on defense, we look the same. On offense, we're complete opposites.
Is the fact that you're going to be playing an East Coast team at home kind of alleviating nerves? Kind of, because, you're playing the team you don't face very often. So, but you were going to be playing them at home. So is that kind of alleviating nerves a bit?
Well, I think most people play well at home, and so I anticipate we'll play better at home. I don't know how they handle the long trip. Now, we've done it the other way. We've gone back all the way and played West Point and North Carolina and all those. It is hard to travel over that many time zones as a visiting team and still perform well. That's hard to do. So that should give us an advantage. Playing at home and them having to travel so far should give us an advantage.
Coach, all the preseason, some of the rankings and the capsules and some of the attention you guys have gotten in the preseason nationally, they all mention the Cal game, they all mention the Northern Illinois game, and they mention potential, if you get past that moment, what you could do the rest of the way, but no one mentions this first game nationally. When you're working with 19 and 20-year-old kids, how do you manage that message in this first week, if that makes sense?
It makes a lot of sense. I think that's my concern on whether they're going to be a mature football team and perform well no matter who we play. Because every time I hear one of them interviewed, no one ever asks them about New Hampshire. All they ask them about is the next game. So not only is it out there nationally, everybody locally is saying the same thing to them. And there's only one class left that remembers Eastern Illinois. Our senior class remembers Eastern Illinois, who came out here and we should have won. They had to travel a long way. We were playing at home. We were a better football team, and they beat us. Okay? And the only ones that remember that are our senior class. The rest of them don't remember that. And our senior class, they're just like a coach. You can tell them everything you want to tell them. Young people of this age believe what they want to believe. And if they don't have the right attitude about it, we're going to be in trouble. Now, we obviously, as a coach and people in charge, you throw all those out there. You give them all the reasons why they should be ready to go, and they should be this and they should be that. But if they want to believe that this game was going to be easy, we're in trouble.
Rocky, speaking of your senior class, how much emphasis senior class maybe put on what the guys last year did to get them to this point and get them to this point of expectation maybe?
Well, the way our program is designed, our senior class are the leaders. Now, we did vote for captains, and there's 5 guys that got voted as captains, but to me, that's a media award. That's a popularity vote. And usually they pick, like they did this time, usually they pick the best players. Okay? But our senior class are the captains. Our entire senior class are the ones that are the leaders, the one that determine the attitude, determine the work ethic, they determine all that. And we've been very lucky over the last couple of years to have really good seniors. I think this group of seniors potentially is just as good or better than them. It's a good thing that this group of seniors was here at Eastern Illinois. That's a good thing. We got some young guys out there that are getting ready to play a lot of football that aren't too excited, but they're being reminded. And it's not by me yelling and cussing.
How close have you seen the guys that have left the program come back and stay close to it and be part of it now?
They don't come back very often because they're all trying to start careers. But you get a lot of phone calls. I shouldn't say phone calls. You get a lot of text messages. And you get a lot of word from them. And then when they're in town, that's funny. When they're in town, they wander up there and bust in on meetings and all that stuff. Like we still care, you know? I mean, but no, I think that the guys over the last 5 or 6 years feel very good about where the program's been. They feel excited about being part of it, and they want to stay part of it as long as they can. What has changed dramatically is the guys from the old era that weren't comfortable being part of it. And now I think they do too. I think they feel comfortable and they feel proud of it and they feel like they're part of it too.
You mentioned that coaches will kind of go through a list of reasons with players that they need to be ready for this first week. Is Eastern Illinois one of the things you mentioned in those conversations?
I've mentioned it once, but I don't make a big deal out of it. Because to be honest with you, if you're a competitive athlete, you want to win no matter who you play. And if you're a competitive athlete that has some maturity about you, you're going to get ready to play no matter who it is, because you realize, guess what, the other guy wants to win too. That other team, they have scholarships. They have coaches that are paid. They've won a lot of games in their history. I'll promise you they're going to walk on that field and expect to win just like our team's going to walk on that field and expect to win. That's what makes athletics so competitive and makes it so much fun to be a part of and makes it so much fun to watch. You think those New Hampshire guys are coming out here and going to just let us win? That's a joke. They're coming out here to shock the world and beat ours. You know, anybody that presents that has never played or never coached. Anybody that presents that deal that a game is easy, they've never played and they've never coached.
How are you going to handle the running back situation? I mean, no Chase Price this year. Stamps is dinged up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, that's the focal point of your offense. So how do you plan on handling that this week and going forward?
We're going to do it the same as we always have. DJ will get most of the carries, but we will have an alternate running back, probably 2 of them in there. Juwan Washington and Rashad Penny will take turns being the other running back, depending on the situation, because they're 2 different types of runners. So DJ will get most of the carries, and those other 2 will divide up the ones that Chase Price got last year.
And last year, you would put DJ out in the slot quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
and he'd be open quite a bit. Do you kind of imagine that people are going to not cover him again this year? That seemed to work very well for you last year, and I was surprised that it kept working so well. Maybe he was just that good.
I think it's because he's that good. He'll be out in the slot a lot this year, too. And what that does to defenses is they have to account for him. You put a linebacker out there, that's a real mismatch. You put a safety out there, that might be a mismatch, too. What you really need is a corner out there on him. But the trouble is in our scheme, since we're a two-back scheme, they never know when he's going to be in the slot. So they're not going to, most people are not going to have their nickel package in there. Now, New Hampshire runs nickel all the time. So when he's out in the slot, he's going to be covered by basically a nickel corner. Okay, but mostly, that, if you want my opinion, this is not maybe the way it'll work out. He's going to be a fairly high draft choice, and he's going to play a long time in the NFL. Most of it is he's going to be in the slot because those guys won't be able to cover him either. And if you look at the NFL, there's some little guys running around out there in the slot that are being very, very successful right now. I don't see him running between the tackles at that level like he does for us.
Coach, I know Coach Horton's, he's a running backs guy, obviously, he was the former running backs coach. Is that one of the reasons why you kind of just promoted him because last season? Because he kind of takes advantage of those guys and what they can do. Like Humphrey, obviously, he can be a receiving threat, and we saw like Rashad doing the end arounds and stuff like that last year. Do you like that he's using them to the best of their abilities?
I mean, I don't know what anybody here thinks of Coach Horton. Coach Horton was put as the coordinator because he's an excellent coach, very good coach. He's been around a bunch of different programs. He's seen a bunch of different things and a bunch of ways to do it. I think the best coaches in the world design their plan around who their best players are. If our best players were 4 wide receivers, we would be in the spread. So I think he does an excellent job of using our best players and putting them in situations that they can be successful, and that's why he's the coach. And that's why I don't ever get involved with the offense, other than to say don't go for it and punt it, because they want to go for it every 4th down.
Rocky, the battle at the right linebacker spot, you've got 2 very different guys there with Austin and Ron Lee. Do you see that being, like when they play, being more of a situational thing, more than one really outperforming the other? Or how do you see you using those 2 guys in that spot?
I think we have 3 spots on defense that they will play equal time. And until we get a real feel for who the best one is, or we get a real feel for who does best in certain situations, they will alternate on a regular basis. The linebacker spot's one. Austin Wyatt there and Laka. Our nose tackle's the other. Sergio Phillips and Noble Hall. And then our corner's the other. Babish and Billy Vaughn. Okay? They will play equal amount of time, and early in the season, it'll be almost a regular rotation until we get a feel for who might be the best player or who fits in the situations better. I mean, my first thought would be that Wyatt there would be better off being in there in the past because he's longer and taller and all that kind of stuff, and Laka, because he's a little shorter and stockier, would be better in a running situation. That's my first thought, but that's not the way we're going into the season. We're going to give them equal time and see what situations they fit the best.
Is that concerning with those 3? I mean, you've got 1 in each level, right? How concerning is that, given that you haven't really been able to identify one over the other?
I think that's a positive, not a concern. I think that's a deal. We've got 2 players in each one of those positions we think we can play. And what it does is gives you automatically depth at all 3 spots. If your 4th best defensive lineman is Noble Hall and you lose a guy, well, you put Noble Hall in that spot. If your 4th best linebacker is Ronley Laka and one of the linebackers goes down, guess what? Ronley's now a starter. So I actually think it's a positive, not a negative.
I know a lot of coaches and staffs would likely say that, if you compare the beginning of seasons, we prepare the same way, we treat it all the same, but with the national attention, some of it that you guys have received, how does the beginning of this season feel differently than last season?
Just what you said. Because we've been given some national recognition that we didn't get last year. There's a higher expectation in the community and on our football team than there was last year, the expectation level. And coaches are always looking for ways to do things better, and obviously we did not play well at the beginning of last year, so we have structured practice and training camp different than we did last year. Not dramatically. I mean, if you're not part of our program and not in the meetings, and you come watch practice, well, they're the same length, an hour and a half to 2 hours. We got 20 minutes of kicking, and we've got Skelly, and we've got team, and it looks the same, but it's not the same. Now, that gets it pretty intricate why it's not the same, and that's boring stuff, but we have not prepared the same as we did last year.
Good news is you have a defensive player of the year at one corner. I guess the opposite of that is that most teams will probably test your other side. And that's where you have the two players competing for the spot. Will you need to change your defense at all from what you normally would put out there to help shade a little bit to that side, at least early in the season, just to make sure those guys are okay?
I think that's a great question, because my belief is that they're not going to pick on that side. My belief is when you play zone coverage, both corners automatically have help. They have help underneath with linebackers, or they have help over the top with safeties. Both corners do. When you play man-to-man, it doesn't matter which corner you're at. It's a one-on-one situation, and if you don't get any pressure, both of them are going to get beat. So I don't see any reason, and I have in the past, I don't see any reason. We have confidence in those other two corners enough so I don't see any reason changing the design of our defense to give one corner extra help. If he needs extra help, the next guy's coming in. I mean, we're not, because I think we'll get good enough pressure in man situations, and both of them are helped in zone.
Well, the big thing last year was your rush defense, just like the numbers you put up, those are most notable. But in terms of just like the pass rush, the guys you have back, you have like Randy Riggs, you have Barrett, Munson, guys like that. Do you feel like in that category you're even better than last year, or more prepared to put more pressure on the quarterback?
I feel better because they're older, and they understand things a little bit better on down and distance and what the other team's trying to do. I feel better that way. And whenever you get into statistics, you have to realize who you play. If all you do is play spread teams, your rush defense is going to be pretty good, and your pass defense is going to be shaky. If all you do is play triple option teams, guess what? Your pass defense is going to look really, really good, but your rush defense is going to be the worst in the country if that's all you play is triple option teams. So last year we were pretty good in run defense because up until the championship game we did not play one option football team. So a lot of statistics have to do with who you're actually playing and what they do on offense and defense. I mean, if someone's willing to play a six-man front against us when we got two backs and two tight ends out there, I'll promise you we're going to rush for a lot of yards. But nobody's going to do that. They're going to put 8 and 9 guys up there. So it has a lot to do with who you're playing.
Anything else for Coach?
I know there's a lot of controversy going on with the whole Colin Kaepernick not standing for the national anthem. Just
I was wishing I'd get out of here before that question.
What kind of your thoughts on standing for the national anthem?
I have several thoughts. Number one, I think that everybody should stand for the national anthem when it is played. I believe that. I'm an American, and even though we do have problems, I believe in pride in your country. Number two, I believe that every citizen of the United States has the right to do what they want to do. That's what makes our country as good a country as it is. So he has rights. If we had a player that wanted to do that, I would respect his rights. Now, him and I would have a long discussion, and our seniors would be involved. We would discuss a lot of things with our seniors, and I would let our seniors set policy on that one. And I don't know what we would do, but I certainly understand his right to do it. I don't agree, but that's what makes it great. I don't have to agree with him.
Rocky, would you would you wait for that situation to occur possibly, or are you going to, or have you already been proactive about it?
No, I'm not going to. Our players know that we expect them to stand for the national anthem, so I'm not going to worry about it until one of them does something different.